Hello, my friends. My name is Roberto Valenzuela. I am a Canon Explorer of Light, and I'm a true believer in unleashing the power that these incredible cameras actually have inside. And for that, I'm going to give you some of the most important, most useful tips and tricks that I have ever used in my career so you too can unleash the power of these monsters. Let's get to the tip. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to create a kind of lighting that looks so beautiful. It creates the sculpting in the face that people just are like, what? How in the... They don't even know what to say. So let me show you how to do that. So here's what we're going to do. Here's the diffusion material. This is a napkin just to do our demonstration. And instead of putting our light in the front, we're actually going to use a strobe, the most powerful strobe you have. And we're going to backlight the subject through the diffuser. Because the diffuser is so large in comparison to the person's face, and because it's being backlit at full power of this most powerful strobe you have, what happens is it's going to create sculpting the light. When the light travels through the diffuser, it's going to hit the face in angles that just the light in the front just cannot do. And when you do it this way, it's going to actually create sculpting on the face that's going to look very different, very beautiful, and really just natural looking almost. And the key to this tip is that to have another light on the front. For example, I usually use like a Profoto B10X Plus with a beauty dish and a grid, something like that, just to be able to fire another light into the face and be able to sculpt the front of the face even more. And it also adds contrast because when you backlight the subject like this, it gives you a little bit of a hazy, low contrast look. So you can counter that by creating another light coming from the front with like a beauty dish with a grid, and that's going to sculpt the light even further. But what you cannot do with that light is get the beautiful jawline and the neck and the bottom of the jaw lighting that you're going to get, and the clothing too, with the backlight coming from the back. So let's go to the studio and show you what that looks like now. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is a crucial tip because it changes the staticness of poses and it gives the poses a feeling of being alive. The reason why people hate posed photos is because they look posed. The way you break that, if you don't even know much about posing, you don't know how posing works, you don't know the body language, or you don't know the language of posing, you don't know, you're just trying to get a good photo. Listen up to this one. Grab your client and keep them in a slow, steady movement. Small movements. A movement could be something small like turning their head left and turning their head right. Or it could be even a smaller micro movement like just moving their eyes in different directions. But one thing that does help is by keeping the body in constant slow motion sort of movement, you're going to change the muscles in the face. They're going to relax. The eyes are going to look more relaxed. The photo will take on a more natural feel. So give it a go. It's super fun and it's going to make your post photos a lot better. Let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 has to do with gradients, and I'm talking about gradients with lighting. Let me show you an example. Here's your subject. I'm gonna put it at the side so you guys can see. What you don't want to do is grab your softbox from whatever light you're using, and you don't want the softbox surface to be parallel to your subject. What you want, that's gonna give you flat lighting. What you want is angle your light, angle your softbox from this to 45 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, whatever you want. But you gotta have some sort of angle to it. That's one option. When you do that, the light's gonna hit the subject at various degrees of strength. It's gonna go harder and brighter in the top, and it's gonna start going down in intensity, very gradual on its way down towards the body. Another thing you can do is, if this is your subject, you can put the background right here. This is the background wall or paper, whatever you have. Here's the photographer photographing from this angle. What you can do is put a light in the background coming from underneath or coming from above or coming from the side. What that will do is it makes the light fire when the strobe fires, and it creates stronger light close to the light source, of course, and then it gradually starts to go weaker and weaker, and that creates another gradient. Especially if you add like a gel, like a red, blue gel, whatever you want to do, that subtle gel is going to basically create this effect of deeper purple to less deep to less purple to less purple to more like white. So it starts to gradually change colors, which looks amazing in a print. So if you ever want your photos to look three-dimensional and make people go like, what is happening, especially when you print a photo, remember tip number 3, gradients. All right, let's move on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 has to do with perspective. Here's the most used, or if not overused, perspective in the photo world. When your subject is literally standing, and let's say this subject is from 5'5" to 6'2", and the photographer is also 5'5" to 6'2", and they're facing each other, and this is the photo shoot. If the photo shoot is this perspective to this perspective. And you know what the problem is with that? This is the perspective you talk to people. This is the perspective you talk to your friends, you talk to your parents. This is the way the human brain always sees people, is this perspective. So if you do a cool photo shoot and you don't get the wow impact that you wanted from people when they first see the photo, change the perspective. Let me give you an example. You can have your subject, for example, use any kind of objects like stairs, fence, trees, chairs, tables, whatever, couch, and have them lean on that couch, have them sit, have them lean on their side. So all you're trying to do is something called just working the clock. You want to work the clock in different circles. You want to work the clock this way. You want to work the clock around. You could have the subject here facing that way, and your camera's shooting them from a 45-degree angle. You don't have to shoot them in front of their face. Get away from that. Get away from that 12 o'clock position and go to their 3 o'clock, go to their 2:30 o'clock, go to the whatever. Change the perspective, and you're gonna get an incredible amount of looks. And because it's a perspective the human eye or brain is not used to, it's an automatic, wow, that looks really cool. What is that? What's going on? And then you get the reaction that you wanted. So if you ever want to give an automatic pop to your photos, simply change the perspective. Alrighty, my friends, we're going to move on to the last tip for today. This is the 5th tip, and this tip has to do with storytelling through composition. Many times, us photographers go to the camera store and we buy a roll of seamless paper, possibly white, black, red, or any color you want. And we roll it out, we put it behind our subjects, and then we put our lights in front of it, and we go to town. The problem with that, let me show you an example, is that if you have your subject and you have, here's a whiteboard just to kind of demonstrate, and you have your subject like this, and then you have your seamless paper, there is no story in the background. The background is purely white. So the emphasis is purely on the outfit, which is why a lot of fashion photographers like myself use white seamless paper, because we don't want anything distracting from the outfit. We're trying to showcase the outfit in this case. And the second is if you're shooting like a headshot, you don't want anything distracting in the background, so you put a seamless piece of paper, and that works perfectly fine and is highly recommended. What I'm talking about here is if your subject is wearing, let's say, like a cowgirl chic outfit or something cool, there's a story in the outfit or in their face. Maybe they have a rugged face or something cool. You might want to let the environment in the background actually showcase part of the story of your subject. So the reason why people don't do that is because they think, oh, it's so distracting. Maybe there's a distracting tree, or maybe the sun is hitting a wall and it's creating a bright spot. And you learned in photo school that if it's too bright, the eye goes to the brightest part of the frame and all these things. And the problem with that mentality is that you end up with no story if you do that. Give yourself permission to find a background that's not ideal, but it does tell a story that complements the story of your subject. And that story of your subject could be based on his or her face. Maybe that there's a story in the face, or it could be a story of the outfit. If they're wearing like I said, like if they're wearing like a cowgirl chic outfit or something fun like that, then maybe put them in a staple or something like that kind of complements the story, and don't worry so much about having a distracting element here or there, or not having the perfect geometric shapes or the perfect composition. And we block ourselves so many times from like, oh no, that's too distracting. I learned not to do that. Guys, it's photography, it's storytelling. You are a professional storyteller. Let your subject be a story, and also let your background be a story. And when you will be surprised when you do that, how the people seeing your photos are gonna have a very different reaction. They're gonna say, this this completes the story of this person. That's what makes a photo to a portrait. A portrait tells a story. So let the background play a bigger role, even if it has distracting elements in it. And guys, this is it for me today. We're gonna be producing more tips and tricks at this Canon YouTube channel. And I honestly want to read comments. If you tried the tips, what you thought of the tips, what you think. Have you tried these tips? Did they work for you? Did they not work for you? I legitimately want to read every comment that you put on this and see how they helped you, because I worked hard on creating tips that are really going to elevate your work and get the most out of these beautiful investments, these beautiful cameras that we buy. So we'll see you in the next one, and have a great day. Take care. Bye.